For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated. More often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the E.T. Stand Podcast.
Epic. Iconic. Are we talking about the Sharks' victory over the Melbourne Storm on Saturday night, or are we talking about the E.T. Stand Podcast? Maybe we're talking about both. Welcome to the E.T. Stand, the Sharks fans podcast that lets us talking to the football. Someone who was definitely epic is you. So thank you for getting involved and watching the show and getting involved with your comments. We've had a whole stack of comments recently on our debrief and our other episodes. It is a lot of fun when we have comments because it is much your show as it is ours. And tonight we want to know, what did you think of that Sharks victory on Saturday night, and where does it rank alongside all-time famous, great, iconic and epic Sharks victories from Shark Park over the years? What were your favourite Sharks victories? Get them into the comments because we like the nostalgia and talking to all of those. Matty is here tonight to tell us where it ranks for him amongst his top five of all time. I actually did a top five last year in round 11 that I'd forgotten that I did, didn't I, Matthew?
You did indeed. After we came back from 18-0 down against the Raiders, that prompted you to do a little deep dive.
Yeah, so interesting. We'll see where that one ranks. And joining him is the illustrious Stephen Franklin, who was down at Shark Park on Saturday night and cited earlier in the day in joining what we think was a Zinger Burger combo, but might have been a three-piece feed. I'm going to go with a Zinger Burger combo, Franko. What did you have at the KFC?
I had a Zinger Burger combo with a plain gravy instead of potato gravy. Hold the mayo, add the supercharged sauce, and their new 6-pack of hot and crispy habanero sauce chicken bites.
So you didn't go to the German sausage man?
Look, bit of controversy. I think it's a different German sausage man than it was last season.
No, it's the same guy.
Yeah, it's not as good. Not as good. So I'll give it another crack. But not as good. And this was my first time sampling that particular KFC. So
all right, we've got a comment coming through here that's from Mazda, and we'll go through the other comments here, which just says, ask Franko how he has a cheeseburgers from McDonald's.
Plain
What's the answer to that,
cheeseburger, meat and cheese only.
No sauce.
No sauce.
No pickle.
No little onion things.
No little onion.
No mustard. And fillet of fish is a double fillet of fish with no tartare sauce.
All right. Well, okay. Well, this is not the McDonald's podcast. This is the Sharks fans
Psychopath
podcast.
It's
the psychopath eating disorder podcast.
Sorry, mate.
If you are new to the channel, this is the ET Stand podcast.
When McDonald's throws us a whole heap of cash for plugging them and KFC argue over who wants to sponsor us, well, you can thank me.
Well, I want the bratwurst guy to sponsor us. I want to do a video with him. So. Anyway, I had a bratwurst. I still believe in the bratwurst sausage guy down at Shark Park. That was yummy. I had that on Saturday night. All right, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button so you get notified of all of our upcoming videos. We've got the debrief live after full time on Saturday night, which will be Franko in the chair alongside the great Latino Eat. Should be better by then. We've also got, very excitingly, and I know how we're going to do it, we're going to do a watch along for the State of Origin. So a whole bunch of us are just going to watch the State of Origin together. I haven't even told you yet, Matty, that we're doing that. We're going to basically be on a stream watching the Origin at the same time and make commentaries to each other and just basically taunt and abuse each other. I don't know why, but we figure that might make the State of Origin more interesting and might be a flag to the future of something that we can try out. A couple of other comments here. Harley's already got his tip in, saying the Sharks are going to win 20 points to 10. And SJD is asking, does William know what May 18, 2024 was? Question mark.
May 18, 2024. Maybe
it was a day.
It was a day. Was that when we beat the Storm last year in Melbourne? Or was it Magic Round? I don't know. Or maybe it was the day that we lost by 1 million to the Panthers. Not sure.
Or was it the day where you hit end stream? Who knows?
Probably was. All the above.
All right. SJD's here in the comments. G'day, legend. Not having potato and gravy should be illegal. I don't love the potato and gravy. The trick is, SJD, just swap the potato and gravy for more chips. That's the trick. And then Chris Kelly, Mazdad, is in the comments teasing us all about all wearing black shirts, which doesn't happen too often. And yeah, SJD has confirmed it was something unfortunate that happened on the stream this time last year. Was it when we had the argument? No, the argument was later.
Yeah, that was June, I think.
That was June. There we go. Boldo nailed it. It is end stream anniversary.
Thank you.
All right. And then Harley says, great flick pass by Sio Siffa-Talakai to Daniel Atkinson. That might be one of the great individual moves that we've ever seen at the Sharks on the Sharks field, that Siffa-Talakai move indeed. All right, on tonight's show, we're covering off the fallout from the Storm victory with some quick fire questions at MW and Franko so we can hear their say and their opinion on the match. As we mentioned, MW is going to rank his Sharks victories of all time at Shark Park. Where does this one rank for you? What were your favourites? We'll preview the Roosters match. We're going to give you all of the current Sharks news from around the grounds as well as Sharks related and anything that you might care about. But let's get into the first of the segments on the show. The Sharkies beat the Melbourne Storm on Saturday night with a 31-26 point victory. This minor quick recap is brought to you by our friends at Solve Accounting with tries to Mulatalo, AFB, a double to outstanding outside back and interchange back Daniel Atkinson. Kailero getting another try with Hines kicking 5 from 6, missing that questionable field goal or penalty goal that he chose to take. And we had a field goal to Braden Trindle. Thank goodness that we finally kicked a field goal. Boys, let's hit you through a bunch of the fallout questions right now. Franko, I will start with you. Talakai at centre. Our favourite question, Paul. We saw the value of him with more minutes. How do we get more value out of him? Is he a centre? What's your response?
I think most of our listeners, especially those that were around last year, know that I want or did want Talakai as a centre. Unfortunately, I think we've seen him sort of evolve out of that role. I don't know if it was visible on camera, but live at the ground, he was needing a few pep talks from the coaching staff to keep up, get in line. He was a bit buggered by the late end of that game. He got a second win though and pulled through. If we've got time to mold him back into a centre, sure, I think that's great. But at this stage, yeah, I think that's done. Certainly, I do think that he's probably, in terms of Atkinson on the bench and whatnot, I think he does an admirable job in centre. That we don't need Atkinson on the bench as cover for that centre position.
Well, speaking of that, Matty, you've been critical of Daniel Atkinson on the bench. Are you rethinking, or are you just going to say, no, you've got short memories. That's one match amongst 11. For the other 10 matches, he didn't contribute much.
Well, yeah. So there was a stat that I saw today that 70% of sides that had lost an outside back in the first half or the first 20 minutes of last year went on to lose. We lost both in our first 20 minutes and went on to beat the premiership favourites. That only happened because we had Daniel Atkinson. Was it good fortune or good management? I'd say it was probably good fortune, given the fact that I don't know how the reshuffle would have gone if we had a fullback out, for example. You'd probably put Ronnie, well, maybe Atkinson goes back there. It's clear that he's there for a reason. We have been saying this. I've been saying this for a while, that there is a reason behind it. That was the reason on the weekend. But I think still in some big matches, we will need that forward punch. Unless, of course, the forwards continue to provide on the weekend. AFB punching out massive minutes and a lot of the other guys getting there too. But as Franko said, I think Talakai was fading a bit, and Atkinson, if we continue to use him in that kind of middle impact role, isn't going to do us in the big games, basically, do what we need the big games.
There's lots of talk about the positivity around Billy Burns and his performances, and maybe even pushing T. Wilton out, which might be a stretch. Franko, Billy Burns, can he make the top 17 permanently? Where is he sitting now from your view?
I love him. He is the Mulatalo of the forwards. He brings the energy. He pumps the boys up. He is absolutely loving his game at the moment, and it's good to see. Can he be in the top 17? That's a tough one because we've still got Hazleton to come back. We've still got Rudolph to come back. Atkinson, as mentioned, is still floating around in there as a utility. To try and keep Burns in there, I think that's probably a bit of a stretch. As much as I'd like to see him in there, he doesn't add much that we wouldn't have through either the traditional punch of the 4 forwards with impact or the utility of say, Atkinson. I know he can play a bit of centre, but I think that's sort of something that I don't know, when was the last time he filled that role? It's been a while. So, look, I think he's certainly proven that he's a first grader. He's certainly proven that he belongs in the top 17. Whether that's the right fit for our team right now is a different question. You can certainly see New South Wales Cup, the Jets are sort of starting to struggle without him. We haven't really won a game since he's moved up. So he is a good player. He is a bit of a glue for them. I'd love to see him in somewhere, but like I said, you've got a couple of good names there in Hazleton and Rudolph that'll bring something to the team. How do you fit them in? And I'm not even sure that Colquhoun will hold his spot, right? And he's a great up and comer for us. It's got a lot of promise, so it's hard to say.
Yeah, I think Colquhoun's probably ahead of Billy Burns. Matthew, the penalty goal at 9 points up.
The ultimate conundrum, as Kelly said the other day, I at the ground, I was saying, no, that's silly. I may have been using more, I wouldn't say profane words. I had my children with me, but 9-11, it's still 2 scores, but they were scoring out wide and Pappy was missing a few. So it would have been a genius move in hindsight. I think, as Kelly said, the team, a lot of people were saying 2 points and it gave them that breather that potentially we needed, given the fact that we had, I suppose, a makeshift back line and we only had 15 players, so our forward rotation was severely affected. Unfortunately, he didn't kick it. If he did, hindsight would have been a great move. It's the ultimate conundrum, isn't it? Because if he kicks it and we lose by 1, it's like, gee, the Sharks are a negative team. If he kicks it and we win by 7, oh, gee, they're an expert team. I saw the Sydney Morning Herald article, didn't even get their calculators out saying that Nico missed a kick to put the Sharks 13 ahead. And if they lost, gee, the papers would be all over Nico. It's like, hello, lazy journalism. But anyway, so splinters are in my bottom because it's a toss of the coin, that one.
No, it's a terrible idea. Absolutely terrible.
Well, I can remember a historical terrible idea. So against the Tigers, and I think it was 06. It wasn't the 05 game where we got pumped, but at Shark Park in 06, we had to give 2 points. We're down by 8. We took the 2 to go 6 points down. And then everyone was saying that was a really negative move. I think we had the Tigers on the rope and we took the 2, took all the pressure out. We were attacking the northern end of Shark Park. Kickoff goes up. I can't remember who dropped it, but we dropped it. Tigers score. They win by 10. So
that is definitely the right move. If you're down by 8, that is when you do take the 2, because then you're down by 6. Just don't drop the ball off the kickoff, Will Kennedy.
True, but it is so common that we drop the ball coming out of our own end or off the
You're just saying don't take the penalty goals because we've got a team that has emotional fragility that buddy drops the ball off the kickoff.
And that was almost
just don't drop the ball off the kickoff.
Almost 20 years ago. It's not just us, though. Other teams do drop the ball coming out there.
No one drops the ball like we do.
Yeah, look, it was obvious. I think the obvious scenario there was only to get the breather. That was the decision. It was to get a bit of gas back in the tank. And you know what? That was probably why he missed the kick, because he wasn't thinking about his usual mark and his usual run up. He was thinking about how can I waste time on the clock without being too obvious, and that's probably what threw him off on the kick. That said, there are other ways of getting gas in the tank, kicking it over the sideline near the corner post, for instance. I think would have been just fine as well. And you soak up three soft tackles, 4 soft tackles, away you go. Heck, do that and then pop up a field goal. There was an opportunity there, I think, with 5 minutes to go to take the 1. which would have put us 6 in front, and we didn't. We had a bit of sloppy left to right movement, which was a bit ugly to see, when we could have gone up to the full 6 and taken the pressure off us as well, got the ball back, but we didn't do that. We ended up dead in the front.
The only
Just
thing
on
about
that
the
penalty
going
goal position, the position where Nico kicked it from, the goal kickers actually frequently miss the kicks from those positions because it's further out than they would normally kick it from that angle. And so normally they take the angle closer. And so it was 35 meters out or 30 meters out. Normally he'd be 20 meters out. So you frequently see the kickers miss from there.
Except he was practically in front.
He shouldn't have missed.
They're taking the field goal to go 6 up. If they miss it and give away a 7 tackle set, or if they get it and stuff up the kickoff, the short kickoff, it then opens up a can of worms too. So
yeah, except they ended up on our halfway line anyway. So 7 tackle sets better than having them getting the ball in front of a disjointed defensive line and running 50.
Oh yeah,
just be better, Sharks. I can't remember. Next question. Franko, AFB, big forward performance. He's clearly our best forward right now. He's our best forward since who?
Best forward as in prop or best?
Middle.
Well, I'd say Andrew Fafita.
I think that's probably right. Gallen?
Well, Gallen left before Fafita, so
therefore it's
I'd say
Fafita. Yeah.
Daniel Dumas.
Yeah, definitely our best forward since
Daniel Dumas.
All right, fair enough. All right, and then lastly, look, fellas, are we contenders now after that win or what?
We were always contenders. We just got to click. Let's not kid ourselves though. Melbourne were a bit shaky in this game. They weren't clean. They weren't clinical as we're used to. A lot of dropped ball. I think, you can only play with what's in front of you. That first half performance was exceptional. We did really well in that first half. Second half, fatigue, 2 men out, definitely contributing factors, but second half was not as strong from us. We were sort of hanging on there towards the end. Had that game get replayed next week, might be a different result. That said, it should be a confidence booster, and I think fans should believe we should be a top 4 team. We said that from the beginning of the season, and we should still be.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's move on to the next subject, but I'm going to interrupt.
My questions? You got my questions? There's a few more there. Just Ronaldo.
I'm mixing them. We're moving on, Williams. I'm mixing them.
We're
moving on. Plus, I also want to highlight this. So Stuart Campbell in the comments has come through saying strangest place to tune in from, the birthing suite at the hospital. So from my understanding, Stuart then goes on and says that the mum and bub doing well. So congratulations, Stuart Campbell. That is definitely some pretty good dedication. So quick fire question.
Name the bub Franko.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, Matthew. So I'm inserting a question for you here, Matthew. Best Sharks-related name that anyone could name their child after a Sharks-related player. What name would you go for?
Carl with a K, because it's
Carl
2.
with a K?
Carl Faliga and Carl Lovell.
Carl Lovell was a C. Was he K?
He was a K as well. He was a madman. Other names, Toshio, C.S. Siffer, obviously.
C.S. Siffer would be a great name. Sasaya Pecky.
Yeah. There's plenty. There's plenty of good ones.
Franko, what names are you offering up?
I've got to say, the one that I like is from the Souths player, Tallis, where his dad was a Gordon Tallis fan and named him the last name of Tallis. And I think that works. So you could get away with a popular rugby league player who's
Gallen,
name Gallen, exactly. You could get away with a Gallen or a Cavell maybe. I don't
think Cavell works. Gallen works.
No.
Tallis definitely works. That's a great
What about
call.
Eddinghausen?
That's a bit much. I don't know about Eddinghausen. But yeah, I think there's a few second names out there that could be replaced as a first.
Watini Zelezniak just rolls off.
Well, that's also not a bad one.
one
All right,
bit of
let's go through some of these
One
comments.
trivia for
So,
you, David, while you're about to find those comments. It's about to be the 5-year anniversary since Bronson Sherry tested positive. It happened on the 26th of May, 2020. Do you know how I know it's baby related? How I know that date?
because your son was born on that day, was it?
Correct. He was born on that date. We're in the birthing suite, and the baby had just been born. Asher, our second son, and flashed for the news that Bronson Sherry was about to get a whatever it was 2 or 4 year ban, 4-year ban, I think it was, for the banned substance test. So, thanks Bronson, and thanks Cronulla for making my second son's birthday so special.
All right, a few other comments in here. Anik Kelly is saying, Stuart, I'm sure your missus is pumped that he is watching the ET stand. And then Anik reminds everyone that she had me in the waiting room at the birth of her first child during Origin Game 3, July 6, 2005.
Who cares about Origin?
Yeah, who cares? Then my Mazdad saying, Boldo loves Ward 3. Pretty sure it's Ward 4, Chris, that I love. And then beyond that, a whole bunch of congratulations in there. Stuart saying that mum wasn't impressed with my first clothing contribution being the size 0 Sharks jersey. I would have thought you would have got a bib, actually.
A onesie.
Yeah. So, anywho, and
Well
then
done.
a whole bunch of other comments that I'll get through too.
Do we have the comment competition this one, Boldo? Has that been nixed? Because
Yeah, well, I was gonna. Yeah, all right, let's bring the comment competition. Yeah, all right, we'll bring it back. So the comment competition's on. So best comment of the night's going to go in the draw to win a prize from our mates at Displayware who do the jersey displays behind me. So we'll do that until halfway through. We'll do that until Game 2 of Origin. So we'll announce the winner during the Game 2 of Origin. We'll do that one, Franko. Yeah, good idea. So let's see who gets the best comment tonight. There has been a few good ones coming through as well. Here, 2.0 making a comment there. If we mold him back into a centre, who do we get rid of? Iro or Ramian? True question. Neither. Big Siffer remains on the bench. All right. We'll go through all of the other kids' comments and get your kids' names in the comments too. What would you name your new child if you were giving them a Cronulla Sharks related and themed name? All right. On to the next. The next segment we have is we obviously have the big. We're doing. Should we do Sharks news or should we do best ever wins? Let's do the best ever wins, shall we?
Can jump around a bit.
Yeah, let's jump around. Let's jump around. We're doing best ever wins at Shark Park.
Looking straight into this. You'll get the visuals up while I do a bit of an intro. And I don't have a teleprompter, so I'm going to be looking after my phone on the right here. So according to the Rugby League Project, thank you again for your awesome stats. As my internet goes again. Across all competitions at Shark Park, we have played 657 matches for 387 wins, 249 losses, and 21 draws. So how does one whittle this down? As my voice goes, everything needs a criteria. What makes it big? The occasion, the odds, the opposition, the outcome. Based on that, obviously, there's been plenty in our history, and that's approaching nearly 60 years. As much as Franko would love me to include all of the great Monty Porter wins, and there were 3, they all happened. Well, a few of them happened at Sutherland Oval, so before we made Shark Park. So sorry, Franko, we can't include your favourite player in this list. I had to also kind of qualify it. Boldo did a list last year where he included some of his, I believe, best wins at Shark Park, including, I think, a game from the 70s where we pumped his favourite or second favourite team, North Sydney Bears, and another one where we beat the Raiders in 1988. The 88 win was a big win, and obviously the Raiders were very successful in that time. There was also a big win over the Broncos, which is basically an Origin team in that period. Unfortunately, I don't remember those. So this is basically from my memory. So going straight into it, and you're probably going to scoff at it when I go, number 1 was only from 3 years ago, 4 seasons ago, 2022. 1860.
You mean number 5, don't you, Williams?
Number 5.
Are we going?
Number 5.
Number 5. We're going backwards. We're counting down.
Going backwards. We're counting down. We're counting down. Correct. Thank you for the correction. So number 5. So look at the occasion, the outcome, or the background information. So we played the Eels And yes, it is top 5 in my view, without a shadow of a doubt. Here is why. Having not played at Shark Park since the Paul Gallen farewell game in 2019, where we lost in the most Cronulla style ever, leading the whole game, not kicking a goal, kicking 2 field goals, going to Golden Point only to lose to a 3rd field goal. Well, that was what a way to farewell Shark Park when we didn't know we were farewelling at the time. The board dropped it on us later that we were moving. And then all the criteria around the new Allianz Stadium, the new CommBank, there was rumours, quite strong ones, that we would never return to the field. So I, for one, thought that we would not return. Anyway, here we are. We finally return. We're back. We're leading. It's 6, and then we give up the lead late. So we've scored 3 tries. We're leading 12-10. They score late to lead 16-12. And like, this is just classic Cronulla all over. We get a late penalty. We go on the attack. The crowd's roaring, but I don't think I was even watching. I was just like, we know how this is going to finish. Anyway, Moylan short ball. Teague Wilton scores out wide on the left, the northwestern corner. Nico kicks his first conversion of the game. We win 18-16 after the siren. I think it was a beautiful thing. I don't know if you guys could agree, but I just thought we'll never play there again. And just to win in that style was just so non-Cronulla. It was magic. So
Huge crowd, huge roar. It was fantastic.
yeah. So moving on to that one, back to 1996. This is one of my favourite memories as a young lad going to the Shark Park, which is still playing on a Saturday night. It was fairly new. I think that started 92, 93. Anyway, this was Sharks at the Park. 94. So there you go. Thanks, Boldo. We're only 3 years in the 3rd season of Saturday night football at Shark Park. Sharks at the Park in the dark against the Manly Seagulls, who had only lost 3 matches all year. This was one of them. A great try to Peachy early on from a bomb from Paul Green. A try about the 55th minute after a length of the field break.
The one where Owen Cunningham got sent off?
It was indeed. It was where Peachy made a break down the right, gave it back to Green, who gave it on to ET, who got cut down. A couple of tackles later, a young replacement hooker by the name of A. Dykes burrowed his way over from dummy half to give us a 12-10 lead, or 12-4 lead, and we held on to win 12-10. Great win, that one, against what was basically in the middle of the Manly dynasty. Moving on. So the Manly one was more the opposition. This one is the occasion. So we're playing the Eels final, second last round of 2000. It is ET's last home game. He wouldn't play. He did his neck against the Warriors a few weeks prior. It was Mitch Healy's last home game, and this was his last game for the club because he got suspended after this one. But huge day, massive crowd. Sunday afternoon, we were coming 8th. The Eels were coming 7th. We both finished 1 and 2 respectively the year before. Basically, we had the same teams. And the Eels were very strong, red hot. It went to halftime at 8-8. We blew them away in the second half. A hat-trick to Matt Rogers. Some of the tries, you can look up the scratchy, grainy footage there. That's one from Colin Best. That was the opening try. Great long-range tries. And the Mitch Healy from the scrum-based move, just so good. So that was one of the games, I think, at Shark Park, especially the party afterwards too. Everyone came on the field. They did obviously the lap of honour, and then they had at the southern end the stand set up and everything, and the players were there, and we partied on for at least 2 or 3 hours on the field. So great times. Moving on, here's a big one. This is probably the outcome, and I actually laid on thinking, because I'll touch on the ones I'll rattle through soon that don't make the list. Against the Seagulls, 05, we covered it in the Chronicles a couple of weeks ago, 68-6. The outcome here was a 7v8 game. Widder guarantees themselves in the finals. Neither team was much chop, but we just completely blew them off the park. And it was the result that made it so magic, and the highlights and that. But probably in hindsight, looking at some of the bigger wins there, as in important wins against big opposition when we weren't expected to win, this maybe wasn't it. But anyway, a magic afternoon. The flip side, number 1, this was the afternoon. We were on a winning streak, dare I say that word. The Knights had all their players back. They were full strength. We were without Matthew Johns at 5'8". We had a young guy on debut named Jai Mullane. And Gus Gould, with glee, put on the back page of the Sun Herald that morning saying the Sharks streak ends today. And, well, wasn't he wrong, and then some. 42-0 at halftime against the reigning premiers, and then carrying on in the second half. Noddy wiping Sludge and Rat's record from the books with a 28-point haul. Huge afternoon against essentially a red-hot side, a very good side. And the best player that I think I've ever seen, Andrew Johns, and just completely, utterly demolish them again on a sunny Sunday afternoon. in my mind, that is the Shark Park match. But there's plenty more rattle off soon, but we'll do them in a sec. Thoughts, Boldo?
Goodness me. It's such a fun time to go back and look at all of these matches. I think back to the one I loved was the 1994 first Saturday night match, which didn't originally make my top 5, but perhaps it should have. Look, all these, you know what all these 5 matches also have in common, Matthew? I was at and present at all of them.
Well, same as me. So that's a key
all
part there. That's probably a key caveat. That's why I have a big asterisk next to the greatest, according to me. But yeah, I was at each of them as well.
Yeah, Franko was working at a couple of these, weren't you, Franko?
I was working at a couple of these. So yes, I didn't get to see much of your number 1 game, Matty. So that definitely doesn't make my list. Look, I think out of your list, mate, maybe the 70s weekend Eels versus Sharkies versus Sea Eagles is probably the only one that might make my top 5. The others don't really get a rate from me. However,
individual. Yeah, go.
If you'd ask me what takes their spot, I'd have to sit back in my sunroom and have a think and a ponder.
I can dedicate. Right. Maybe we should dedicate an entire episode and make it live. Get everyone put their points through, because I'm just going to rattle.
Let's do that in the off season, Matty. We'll do that in the off season.
But here's just
maybe we just rank every. What if we just did a video? We rank every Sharks victory, top to bottom. Ever.
Oh, that would take months. But just looking at it, even honourable mentions, just comparing it to Boldo's this last year, the 49 points to 30 win over the Knights in 2001 with a peachy hat trick. That's very much up there. 1999 Anzac Day win in their first match against the merged entity that are the St George Illawarra Dragons, with Wayne Bartram kicking the conversion to tie it up and hitting the post, beating the Broncos on numerous occasions, including the John Lang farewell game in 01, smashing them in the 99 quarterfinal, a big win on Saturday night in 1998 when we were going terrible and they were on their way to the grand final. Obviously the wins over the Raiders and the Broncos in 1988, even the 2018 win over the Cam Smith coached and refereed Storm, with him getting sin binned, and the 2019 win with a very junior Storm team, Sharks team, against a red hot Storm side. The 2013 round 1 win over the Titans in the midst of the Asada scandal, that was enormously emotional against a dud team. So I was going to chuck in there and go, as if a game against the Titans would make the top 10 or 20 or 50, but here that probably would. At the end of the day, this win on the weekend was good, but is it in the top 20 or even 50? I'd say no, and it's a good thing that it's not. I was riding every play because I haven't been to a game all year, and I was peeing off a few people around me. Sorry about that, but I was riding every play, and it was a massive win, but I don't think it rates up there with so many other wins and classics we've had in this time, and it's a good thing, right? We're expecting to win these matches. We did. Go on with it, please. Franko, you had your hand up there.
2008. Finals week 1, Sharks versus Raiders at
Missy Talapapa hat trick.
We were expected to win that match.
Brett Seymour almost throwing an intercept after catching the kickoff. That the Raiders rushed and he threw a hurried pass, and everyone was like, "Oh gosh!" Another classic, and it depends on so many circumstances and variables as to whether it makes a classic or not. Even looking at the 2016 classics, 30 points to 2 over the Dragons, coming back from 18-0 down against the Eels to beat them and lead the
Eels one was big.
That was massive, and we'd come back from being wooden spooners just 2 years prior. The 30 points to 28 stopper against the Broncos, where we almost completely blew it. The Monday night game against the Cowboys with the Valentine Holmes intercept of late. Obviously, honourable mentions, the 2022 win over the Warriors with 11 men, and the win over the Storm that year too, 28 points to 6. So many come from behind wins against the Roosters when we were terrible back around 09, 2010, and all these other games in there too. I think there's, even looking, I started going through every year onwards, and I had at least one match from each year that I could put as a potential top 20 candidate kind of thing, even beating the Dragons to end their finals hopes in 2003, which was ironically enough the week before the 74 points to 4 loss. So that there are plenty in there that stick out in memory, but was this one in there? It was great. It was the best one I think we've had since 2022, but no, not in the top 20 or even 30 or 40, 50.
SJD's here in the comments saying that his favourite win of recent memory at Shark Park was round 9, 2022 against the Warriors.
Yeah.
11 men. And I think that's the only comment we have through. We're going to go through all these comments at the end of the show. There's a whole bunch of them there. And Chris Kelly's come through in the comments saying we should do the opposite, worst losses at home, heartbreaking losses. And Chris, that's the sort of thing that I think is a good idea, but no one will watch that. But maybe.
You may need therapy afterwards.
We may need therapy afterwards. All right, let's get into the Sharks socials. This segment is brought to you by Morgan's at Cronulla, for our top partner for stockbroking advice. There in Cronulla Mall, with the socials brought to us by the great Scott Latino, who's currently sick. Mate, hope you're feeling better soon. We hope to see you on the debrief. All right, key things happening for the Sharks. The junior reps, after sitting out the competition-wide bye round last weekend, the Sharks Jersey Flag squad travelled to Gosford on Saturday to kick off a 3-game meet at Industry Group Stadium. The lads look to make it 7 wins on the trot as they take on the 7th place Roosters at 3 p.m. As Franko previously mentioned, the Jets, well, they have suffered their third straight loss, going down to the Raiders 30 points to 18 at Henson Park last Saturday. The Jets went into the break in front 12 points to 6. And they did score the third try before a second-half onslaught saw the visitors steal the win. The boys now sit 5th on the knock-on effect New South Wales Cup ladder with after sitting outright second 3 weeks ago. The lads also travelled to Gosford on Saturday to take on the Roosters in the curtain raiser to the main game at 5:05 p.m. This one's an interesting one. Shane Flanagan has had his coaching integrity thrown into question through the week by none other than the 2016 premiership-winning 5'8" that played under him that year, James Maloney. Maloney speaking at a charity function in Brisbane. Maloney was asked on stage about the best coaches he played under, where he offered up Craig Bellamy, Trent Robertson and Ivan Cleary, while saying Flanagan, who he omitted from that list, had taught him F all. I didn't learn a thing off him, Maloney said. And then Maloney told interviewers when prompted to ask Flano how he felt being his assistant in 2016, as reported by Danny Wadler in the Sydney Morning Herald. Now, at the time, and listening back to podcasts of the team talking about that, I don't get a great sense that Flanagan was a great statistician or tactician or coach from that perspective, but he certainly was a motivator. Franko, give us a reaction from you to Maloney's comments on Flanagan.
Yeah, we all know what kind of person Maloney is. He likes to ruffle some feathers, take a piss take. How much of this is having a yarn, bit of a lark, or how much of it is malicious is debatable. Also worth mentioning, he's gunning for some kind of assistant coaching role somewhere as well. So maybe there's some kind of ulterior motive to the comments. But yeah, you're right, mate. Flanagan has always been renowned as a people manager, someone who can get the best out of his players. We saw that he won multiple titles through the junior ranks, flag and whatnot, before being made an assistant coach at the Roosters. When he took over from Ricky Stewart at the Sharks, he turned an average Sharks team around almost in the space of a couple of weeks. We started seeing results. He's very much a roll your sleeves up, doer kind of coach. As you said, not an X's and O's coach. So maybe that's what Maloney is referring to. But you know, he's put the team together. Had Price there as an assistant, who is also had first grade experience as a coach. We all heard the stories about the drills that they were running through that were utilised in that grand final, scurrying around to cover in defence, and how important it was for us to get that win. Pretty sure Maloney wasn't talking about let's do defensive drills with one less player.
Guy couldn't tackle to save himself.
Exactly. So, you know, look, is Flano a genius coach? Probably not, but he's a good coach that gets the job done. Yeah, might have left Sharkies in bad terms. Who knows what his relationship is with Maloney? But look, he's certainly better than a whole bunch of the last coaches that the Dragons have had, and he's going to do right by them.
Two things. Obviously, Maloney left in sour circumstances at the end of 2017, so the year after, so maybe he's still bitter about that. And then the second part is you look at the amount of players that Flanagan attracted probably through Gallen with his Origin connections. But even when at the start of 2013, when Flanagan was stood down or sacked, and you look at Bo Ryan, Chris Hidingson, Bryce Gibbs, Andrew Fifita, all those guys, yeah, they got shopped from the Tigers to the Sharks, but they're all saying, hey, we signed here to play under Flano. He was well respected amongst a lot of a lot of the players. He obviously, yeah, as you said, motivator, got results. I think this seems to be an isolated incident.
Why he didn't set up the notShaneFlanagan@hotmail.com email address, I'll never know. All right.
Yeah.
Brett Seymour, former Sharks halfback. Brett Seymour has pleaded guilty to multiple domestic violence charges in Toowoomba Touristic Court on Monday. Those charges include common assault, occasioning bodily harm, and breach of a protection order. The case has been adjourned, and Seymour is set to return to court on June 20. His counsel said the case was not ready to move to sentencing, and Seymour will remain on bail. Let's just move on to the next. I'm not sure I should have kept that one in from you, Lats. But anyway, we talked about Brett Seymour. Blues Hall of Fame. Sharks legends Paul Gallen and the great Andrew Eddinghausen were inducted into the New South Wales Rugby League Hall of Fame in front of 450 guests at the Star Event Centre at Pyrmont. The boys joined the late, great Steve Rogers with the honour, who had previously been inducted, and it comes just after a couple of months after their induction into the Sharks Hall of Fame. The Sharks NRLW fan season launch will be attended by the full NRLW squad. The launch will be held from 1 to 2 p.m. on the 28th of June at Westfield Miranda, Level 1 Centre Court. Is that outside where the old Myers and Grace Brothers used to be, or have they moved that location? I don't know where that is in. I never go down to Miranda Fair anymore. Franko?
Yeah, I'm just
Where's
trying to
Level
think.
1?
It's certainly not that, because that spot
Because that got knocked down.
anymore.
Yeah, where is that?
Centre Court. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not
be sure to head down.
I apologise. It
Yeah,
could
well.
be that location below the escalators there, where they normally have Santa or something. That's the only spot I can think of.
All right, someone get in the comments who knows Miranda Fair well. Where will that be held in Miranda Fair, and where should you park? I'll be sure to head down, meet the girls, grab some autographs, and wish the girls all the best for a fantastic season ahead. There's also a members' night for trivia in a couple of weeks, with a whole bunch of the players getting down to. You should have all gotten an email about that. And that was the Sharks news for this week. Thanks to Morgan's at Cronulla. All right, let's move on to the team preview. The Roosters, the team lists are in, with this match preview being brought to you by Miranda Hotel, offering $7 schooners still on offer during the NRL matches. The Sharkies have pieced together a backline, given we have lost a host of injuries as they travel to, up the coast? It's a Gosford match, isn't it?
Correct.
Is that right? Yeah, how about that? To
Right.
tackle the somewhat, very depleted Roosters, who we know will be inside the Sharks team list. Let's run through it for you. At fullback, here's William Kennedy, who was no longer in the lead of the Daily M's. The wings, there were turning Moeen Hiroti and Ronaldo Mulatalo, with eye for an eye, Jesse Ramian, hopefully fit to play, and Kale Ero partnering him in the centres. It's the same halves combination we've had all season of Braden Trindle and Nico Hines, and an unchanged forward lineup with Fanua, Blake, Brayley, Kafusi, Nikora, Burns, and captained by Cam McInnes. And the bench, I think that's the same bench too, isn't it? With Dan Atkins and Jesse Colquhoun, Sia Sifa Talakai, and Braden Hamlin Ueli. Franko, is this how you would have dealt with the problems in the back line? Hiroti available, slot him in on the wing. Is that what you're thinking we should have done?
If Hiroti's available, absolutely. Look, Chris Vela is there in the extended bench, possibly there for cover in case Hiroti is not 100% and they're doing the old day by day. Let's see how he is, giving him as much time as possible. But yeah, if Hiroti is fit and good to go, yeah, he's straight in. The other option there for Vela is Ramian with his eye. I think I read that he was 50-50 as well. He'll also probably play, but that might be another spot that he could be covering. You'd toss up whether or not you move Hiroti into the centres and then Vela onto the wing, but some combination of that. But the rest is pretty much expected.
2.0 in the comments has confirmed that at a bowls night, by all accounts, Jesse Ramian was looking pretty good. So fingers crossed on that front. Matty, what do you make of the team? Do you share Franko's sentiment there on how you would have solved for the problems?
Oh, I do agree that if Mawini is fit, he's the next man up, and he's been doing an awesome job every time he's been called upon. Gone of the days, touch wood. So I'm hoping I don't put the mock on here of his performance. The poor guy at Cogra back in 2021 against the Bulldogs, where he's on the wing. But no, he's solid, dependable, and has been really impressive. It was a shame to see him get injured a few weeks ago. So hopefully he's over that. I think it was a knee injury and back in. Hopefully 2.0 is right. I'm not sure what bowls night in the wet on a Tuesday night is being run, but anyway, if Jesse's looking good, that'd be good. Chris Vela, who was in the, I think he was 18th man a couple of times like last year, I'm sure would do a job as well if called upon. Teague Wilton is also on the extended bench. There was talk of him coming into the side, and Billy Burns, unfortunately, going back to the bench or missing out. But I think this is the way to go. It's showing the intent that Talakai is a great utility, if need be, to be put in the centres as required in a match, but not for the full 80, especially with the depth we got there now. So I think it's a good move.
I think we've seen with Burns being so good, there's probably no rush to getting Wilton in. And with the bye week coming up, you get 2 weeks. So I think hold Wilton out for another week.
Absolutely.
Matty, our record against the Roosters, give us a rundown.
It's not great. It's not great. They're one of the teams we've played the most times, if not the most amount of times, as my stats come back up again. So we played a total of 102. They've won 64. We've won 36. And there were a few draws in there as well, doing some quick maths there. I remember one distinct draw at Shark Park in 2012, where Todd Carney traded field goals with whoever his other number. I think it might have been Maloney, potentially.
Yeah, it might have been
Maloney with the Roosters, but I think he's still with the Warriors. But anyway, we drew that one. Looking at it at Central Coast, we played him back in 2017. Kelly and I covered that in the Chronicles last year, and we had a great 44 points to 12 win. Our recent form against the Roosters, we won the last outing at Magic Round last year, 38 points to 30. Prior to that, we lost 13-12 in that first week finals match at Shark Park the year before. Beat them early that year, 22-12. Then we had a run of losses between 2023 and 2017. So where prior to that, we had a run of 6 wins in a row ourselves. So back around that 2009-2010 period when we were terrible, you could almost put your house on the Sharks beating the Roosters and the Eels. We were, for whatever reason, their bogey team. It's changed of late, and the Roosters have caused us trouble, especially prior to those 2 losses we've had over the last 3 matches. A lot of losses in there. So it's a real danger game, I think.
We also had the match at Shark Park where we had the finals match against them, didn't we?
That's the one I mentioned. Yeah, we lost 13 points to 12. Yeah, so that was where we blew it. Anyway.
That one was annoying. All right, let's check out this Roosters team. They are severely depleted with missing Crichton, Watson, Collins, Toa, and Linu. And then so with a whole bunch of junior players coming up into the team, a whole bunch that we won't have heard of. Chris has given me some notes on the Roosters in his absence, so I'll do my best. All right, so the team list for the Roosters taking on the Sharks is Tedesco as the captain. They've still got an impressive bunch of couple of outside backs. Daniel Tupou and Dom Young has been recalled with Billy Smith and Mark. Yeah, let's just say Mark.
No, one I don't know
how to say.
Ask my 7-year-old how to pronounce it. He nails it.
Say it again.
Nawanatina Waze, I think is the pronunciation.
Nawanatina Waze, that's pretty good. All right, Sandon Smith's the 5'8", and then Hugo Savala, which Kelly rates very highly as being dangerous at halfback. Makatoa and Feketi are the front rowers with Zach Dokar-Clay. I've never heard of him. At hooker, Egan Butcher, C.O. Wong, and Victor Radley is... What are you shaking your head at, Franko?
We have our
the last player you had no idea about scored against us in the first 5 minutes.
Dokar-Clay.
Never heard of Grant Anderson. He's still
certainty for the first try this week. Gamble responsibly, people.
Makatoa
has made it happen.
No, not Makatoa. Dokar-Clay. Zach Dokar-Clay.
Dokar-Clay. That's what Dokar-Clay. He's the absolute certainty.
Oh, certainty. And then Ilu, Losalu, Steve, and Nat Butcher. Nat Butcher's a good player. And the coach is Trent Robinson. They also have the Rodwell sons on the bench, on an extended bench. Look, Williams, Sharks are well known for losing to teams when they're under strength. We could easily lose to these guys and be, this has got to be one of the great Roosters wins of all time, doesn't it?
Correct. I haven't done the stats, but there's been plenty of times too where we've had a massive win. Everyone's going, how good's this? And then the following week we lose to an insert average team here. The Roosters, they've still got Tedesco at the back. He's getting towards the end of his career, but he can still cause damage and influence referees. Obviously, we've got very tall wingers in Dom Young and Daniel Tupou. I'm not sure how Sandon Smith and Hugo Savala are with kicking games. Chris Kelly could, I suppose, give us info on that via the comments, but I think if they're picking to big wingers, we've got to be careful there. And obviously, Atkinson's not. I'm very happy Atkinson's not chosen as starting winger because that would be a real worry with it. He'd be marking one of them. I think it's going to be Ronnie up against Dom Young, who can be prone to being baited as long as Ronnie doesn't push it too much. Anyway, if we play to our potential, we win, but still, it's a wet night on the Central Coast. Could be anyone's game.
Franko, what do you make of it?
Yeah, look, they are depleted. Not to take them lightly, but they are depleted, and that is why when I was asked this question a few days ago, if Hiroti was not healthy and Ramian was not healthy, I would have been happy to see a young guy come through and make a debut. If they're not going to debut against a team like this, then you're always going to be worried about when you're going to debut them. So we should win, and we should win well. They're lacking punch, they're lacking experience. Even their halves are inexperienced. They're good. They're showing a lot of promise. But that said, we should just be dominating. And I think you touched on it earlier about losing these games that we should win, and is there pressure on us for coming up against a inexperienced team? It's not so much the pressure from coming up an inexperienced team. The pressure is coming from the origin period for us, not having any origin players up against teams that do. We saw, I think it was Buzz Rothfield having a go about the depleted Roosters against the Sharks. We've now got this stretch where we are probably expected to come out with 5 wins in a row because we're not impacted by origin. We're going to be up against teams that are likely impacted by origin. All the travel's done, all the hard work's done. We're here ready now for a good patch, and we've just got to stay focused and not let it get to our heads.
No, I think that absolutely nails it. So do we win, Franko?
Yeah, we win. Yeah, we win. I've said we were going to lose the last 2 matches, I think. So I've got to get on the team one day. Yeah, we win this one. Like I said, we win this. We win well. We're not too bad out at Gosford either. So I think it's going to be a win for us. I don't know how many points, but yeah, I reckon maybe 16 points in front.
I'll call you out, David. You said that Franko and I had tipped us a loss last week. I said us by 6. I think we won by 5. So I think we're winning again this week. We're in doubt. Last year, when we lost Hines and Atkinson, I may have had a few drinks, said that we'd win by 8, and we won by 7. So anyway, it's a broken clock is right twice a day, and that's me. I think we win this one by maybe 12, hopefully, fingers crossed. But I'm cautious. We should, if we play to our potential, we should win by a lot, but I'm still a bit worried given the form we've seen earlier this year, that the team's got the potential for both kinds of outings.
Chris Kelly in the comments saying we win 26 points to 6. Harley said Sharks by 10. Are there any other tips here?
Conservative from Harley.
Conservative. I'm just going to come out and say it. Sharks are going to win by a lot. They are seriously depleted. We are one of the top teams. We are going to absolutely put them to the sword, and they are not going to be able to deal with our big forwards. Fanua Blake is going to have an absolute field day, and we're going to win by 40 points. We're going to absolutely pump the Roosters. You heard it here first. And I rarely call out that we're going to pump any team, but I just think we are going to absolutely pump them. All right, let's get on to the league roundup. Do you want to give us a response there, Williams?
I put change my tips now?
Famous last words.
We're pumping the Roosters. The Roosters are rubbish. The Roosters are rubbish. All right, let's get into the league roundup. The league roundup is, and here we are with Franko here to do his best Chris Kelly impersonation as I move to that view. And look, he's even done, look at this little new imagey graphics of each of us here. That's a little bit of fun, wasn't it?
Thanks, man.
I don't
Well
know
done.
if you want to call it that. All right, over to you, Franko.
Gosh. Oh, around the league. Gosh, all right, here we go. Around the league. What's around the league? Around the league is stuff that happened in the NRL, not specifically Sharks related. I'll do my best CK if I can, but we all know he's a bit of a scattergun approach, just saying whatever he wants off the cuff. So this might be bad. Anyway, here we go. We've got the Origin teams that were announced this week, and as mentioned earlier, there were no Sharks selected. I think we all pretty much predicted this would be the case. I personally am happy that we've got no Sharkies picked. I think it's going to lead for a bit more focus on the club games for us. No headspace issues. And can I just say that Laurie Daly is an absolute muppet, and I don't want to support him. So this is just give me another reason why I'm going to not really care about the Origin series this year.
He isn't great, is he, Franko?
Not only do we have to put up with the Channel 9 commentary, but we have to put up with Mitchell Moses.
Yeah.
Oh,
watching.
How can you go for a team with Mitchell Moses in it?
There's a cry against humanity, given his form right now, the way he carries on. But anyway, if he capitulates on the national global,
I like how Mitchell Moses is in good form. I'm like, the Tigers were last and were absolute rubbish, and Jerome Luai has gotten them to be relevant. Like, how could you not pick Luai in the team? And they both play on the same side of the field. It's just so dumb.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Daly doesn't know what he's doing. You see it every year when he's been head coach of New South Wales. He just loves the attention. He leaks like a sieve, feeding various press outlets, getting his comment out there. I just can't stand him. I remember. I think it might have been his first gig as New South Wales Origin coach, and he came out strong and hard, and he was like, "Okay, Mitchell Pearce is going to be my number 7. Doesn't matter what happens this season, he's going to be my number 7. Lock him in." And everyone collectively groaned, and Mitchell Pearce had an absolute shocking start to the season. Was terrible, and Daly had backed himself into the corner, and then luckily for Daly, the yellow dress incident happened, and he was able to go, "Oh well, the yellow dress incident. No, we can't pick him. Those are not the standards for New South Wales Origin, so I'm not going to pick him." It's like, you idiot, Daly. Anyway, that's my little rant.
Tell us what you really think.
Told you this to go off the boil. Golly, CK, where are you, mate? Onto the Queensland team. Robert Toyala from the Roosters was the shock selection for the Queensland team, being selected after only 10 games. I think Haas was also another player recently who'd been selected after about 10 games. So it's not uncommon, but it's certainly something that shows how much talent this young kid has, and good to see him not playing for the Roosters against us.
That's good.
Then we've got the New South Wales NRLW women's team winning the State of Origin series on Thursday night, winning 20 points to 6. This gives us the series victory in horrible wet conditions. We next play in Newcastle to try and win a 3-0 whitewash. Look, I think this was pretty dominant from the girls. Obviously, we've got a few Sharkies players in there, and it was great to see them get up and have that win. So pretty happy to see this. I do think it's good that this NRLW series now has the 3 games. We saw it introduced last year after the deplorable act of the year before with the 2 games and doing on points differential. So the 3-0 win, hopefully we get that, and that would be excellent.
Was Penatani playing 5'8" as well?
She was. It's going to be interesting to see. Interesting to see if that has any knock-on effects to the club land.
And just talking, I'm just going to do my Chris Kelly impersonation. Absolutely diabolical call at the start with the Queensland try they gave when New South Wales clearly grounded the ball in goal, and somehow was it Sutton in the bunker goes, "Oh, you're not grounded, try," after about 1 or 2 looks. Anyway, carry on.
Correct. The NRL Las Vegas teams were announced for the 2026 season. I don't think any of us cares. The Sharks have been there, done that. Vegas is now ruined for everyone else, so we can move on. But just in case anyone does care, it was the Dragons, the Bulldogs, the Cowboys, and the Knights are the teams that have been travelling over. So they're going to have some fun over there. If you're a supporter of those teams, I know we get a few Bulldogs fans watching. Look, it was, by all reports, a really great time over there by Boldo and CK. Save your monies, get over there, support your team. It's good fun. The Super League teams are Hull, KR, and Lead Rhinos. They're picked. And the women's game has been dropped from the schedule to reduce the number of games in the day.
Good idea. Too many games.
Over the weekend, 2 spectacular tries were scored on the weekend. First was Boldo's mate, Nahuanatizi Wanalakalaka.
Marky Mark.
Marky Mark.
Culturally appropriate term.
Going down the sideline, hopping on one foot, chipping, and then running back to regather. It was a great try. Showed a lot of skill. And then the other one was Xavier Coates leaping over Daniel Atkinson. Now, look, this is something we've seen Melbourne do a lot. They are down in the home of the AFL. Historically, they have done a lot of training with a partner team in the AFL to show them how to do this. So it's not really a surprise. What's surprising is they don't do it more often, I suppose. But CK rates them as some of the better tries he's ever seen.
Yeah, the Daniel Tupou one.
It was good.
Xavier Coates one. Who cares? It was all right.
Xavier Coates.
I think that just goes to show. I think that just goes to show that you need a leaping coach of some description. Daniel Atkinson standing there flat-footed trying to vertical leap is not the way to attack a bomb with the Xavier Coates running up on you.
You've been banging on about the leaping coach since Cavell retired. It's so good. That's a call.
Gotta have a leaping coach.
All right, on to the next.
In Broncos news, Martin Tapau was sacked for liking an Instagram post about Coach Maguire. Ezra Mam made his comeback in the NRL after some more serious off-field issues. Standards at the Broncos are a little bit lax at the moment. Even though Maguire is known to be a hard taskmaster, there's certain things going on there that seem to be a bit wrong.
Clearly, that was just a ploy by the Broncos to get Tapau off their books. They're looking for any excuse to get a legal loophole to go, here's your contract, go on, see you later. That's, Ezra Mam is much more important to the team. It's not right, but unfortunately, it's not surprising. And they're in all sorts of trouble. They lost the Dragons the other day, was having seen bits of it. Diabolical. Not that I care. Keep it up, Broncos, but wow.
Well, there's a graph or a line chart, which basically goes skill level and how annoying you are. And if you do something that's annoying to the team, but you're not that important or skillful, then they're going to sack you. But clearly Ezra Mann's pretty important, so therefore they decided to keep him because they need him in their team. It's like, Todd Carney stayed in the team, and then as soon as he did something stupid and they thought his hamstrings were gone, they sacked him. That's just what happens. All right, on to the next.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, Gallen is fighting Sonny Bill Williams, and apparently they still hate each other. So this is scheduled for July 16th, I believe. I don't know how I feel about this. I never really liked the idea of Paul Gallen fighting to begin with. I don't like how George Rose through Fox has somehow infiltrated the rugby league fandom for boxing. I understand boxing is a sport in its own right and has a lot of fans, but I don't like how much they rely on rugby league. You should have your own talent. You should be able to market your own games independently. That said, obviously I hope Gallen puts one on his chin, and that's the end of this, because we'll never not hear it if Sonny Bill wins. So come on, Gal, do it for us.
Doesn't need the money though, and the amount of risk involved. I'm not a boxing fan. But
we've all seen what happens when Gal took on a couple of aging boxers. the shoes on the other foot now. It's going to be a lot for Gal to get ready for this one. We already knew as well that Sonny Bill has the long reach. It was going to be tough for Gal when he was in his prime. And you know what? There was rumours that Sonny Bill was always going to take this fight, but he was just going to wait until Gallen was a few steps slower. And here we are.
I reckon I got a take for you, Franko and Matty. This Gallen and Sonny Bill not liking each other, and Paul Gallen no-showing at the press conference today, and the back and forth, and how quickly the Instagram videos went up back and forth. This is a work. So they're putting this on to try and help sell this match. And by having Gallen not turn up to the press conference, that actually adds to the mystery around this match. It's a wrestling style work, Matty. I'm telling you.
That's what I mean. It might as well be wrestling. It might as well.
Yeah, it might as well be wrestling. They are working the audience with this stuff. I'm telling you. But yeah, good for them. And as for Gallen's a bloody grumpy bugger. So, you know, yeah. Look, I'll watch the highlights on YouTube the next day, I think. All right, that was around the league. Can I just say, Franko, that was absolutely hilarious with you doing that league roundup. It's like your own commentaries on the stuff. That was absolutely brilliant. All right, we're now on to the fun fact, which is a new segment that got introduced last week. And Franko, apparently you're giving us the fun fact this week.
Fun fact. All right. My fun fact is, look, I don't think I could ever come up with a fun fact that is better than someone snubbing Elle Macpherson. But my fun fact is Chris Beattie would always come in to the Sharks and he would order a jug of lemon squash with 2 midi glasses. I don't know why he would always have 2 midi glasses, but he would drink his jug of squash with 2 midi glasses. It was never one. He'd share it out between the two.
That's awesome.
And it was just this thing that bugged me every time. I had to get the second cup, and something else I had to collect, something else I had to clean. But yeah, lemon squash was Chris Beattie's drink of choice midweek.
That is so good.
I love Chris
That's
Beattie.
my
What a
fun
player.
fact.
If someone knows Chris Beattie, we need to get to the bottom of that. We need to get him on the show. And
Why
obviously
does Chris
talk about-
Beattie drink lemon squash with 2 glasses? Oh, that is pretty good fun fact. All right, let's go through the rest of these comments and make sure that we catch up on these. Mazdad called us out for wearing all black shirts, which was amusing at the time. Williams 2.0 threw in a comment. Great win, but keeping my hopes on hold. We won last year in Melbourne without a few and got towed up in the finals. That is true. It is just a mid-season game. Let's keep going. Anik's asking, why didn't we read her fast fact last week? There's no chance we were ever reading your fast fact last week. And she's also come in the comments saying she loves a McChicken with beetroot.
Good call. Good call.
Yeah, that's not bad. Matt Axiak, some favourites of mine. The 2008 final versus the Raiders. That one came up. 2016 against Melbourne and the Cowboys. And the 2011 Derby win in that epic defensive set.
Exactly.
Those are all pretty good, Matt.
That Derby.
Those are all pretty good.
That was in the wet too, that 2011 match.
Yeah, it's reigning premiers. We covered that in the Chronicles last year. Great. Go check it out. Great win.
Congratulations again to Stuart, who is waiting to be transferred out of maternity and maybe has stopped watching us now.
Oh, hopefully his missus is having a well-deserved rest.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and then Mazdad says Talakai is the cheat code. Now Burns is too. Then we have the luxury of Atkinson and Roddy. We do have a good bunch of reserve players, don't we? And then Anik called out that I did go and have a steak with no sauce, and Ange also confirming that I don't like sauce.
Ruin a good steak with sauce. No sauce required.
Well, no, I like a good sauce. SJD, the correct play was for Nico to miss the goal on purpose, a la Cavell. And Will Kennedy just needs to ice that catch. And the Cavell miss, Williams, which match was that?
2007 in Auckland. And I think it was
That's right, it was too.
maybe 4 points up. It wasn't going to put us 6 points up. It was a strange take, and he took his time and he absolutely shanked it. And we regathered the 20-meter dropout. So it'd be better than the other day.
Nick in the comments has confirmed for everyone, just a bit of a hot tip. If you're hanging out with me and you don't want me to eat the chips, just put sauce on them and then I won't eat them. And then Chris Kelly saying, yes, we should have recovered the restart but a lot of other teams do drop the ball. Harley came through in the comments saying, great field goal by Braden Trindle. It was good that we finally got a.
No
here we go.
though.
I think we've.
You're right. No,
Here we go. All right, Adam Fields come through in the comments with the super chat. Potato and gravy is on me this week, fellas. Thanks for the great content. Yeah, well, Adam,
Thanks, Adam.
thank you. You're absolute legend. It's very generous of you. Potato and gravy on you this week. Thanks for the great content. We do love doing this show for everyone.
Potato and gravy. I might hold the potato, but give me all the gravy. That's awesome. Thanks very much, Adam.
All
so
right,
we
now
got to talk about this though. So hang on a sec. He wants to chat about potato and gravy. I think I do. I have used the trick with kids before, Boldo. You were saying where you swap out the potato and gravy for an extra chips, and that is a well done hack there. I'm able to get double chips for the kids, and everyone's happy.
Yeah, double chips. Like the potato and gravy's not that good, is it?
Well,
Like, I just don't like it.
gravy's
Do you dip
nice.
the roll
I
in
like
it?
the gravy.
You dip the chips into it, and it's okay.
Yeah, but
You
you've
don't
already
need
got
the
chips.
potato because you're dipping potato in. So you just have gravy.
All the
Dip
starch,
it in.
all the carbs.
Yum. Love it.
Yeah,
Dirty
that's,
Bird's had a real resurgence lately, hasn't it? It went off the boil for a while, and now it's everywhere. No joke. Within 1
Here we
kilometre
go.
of my house, 3 new Dirty Birds have opened. Thank you.
Here's
North
here's
all right, here's
here's
a
a
comment
fun
from,
fact.
yes.
Here's a fun fact. Did you know that in Queensland, and this might answer a few questions for some people who watch Fox Sports or KO, in Queensland, red rooster is basically the popular bird eatery of choice. KFC
That's
doesn't
because
really
red
have much
rooster's the
penetration.
best.
And in Australia, in New South Wales, it's KFC.
Yeah, because they're
So
heathens north of the border. What's even better is, and this is going to sound sacrilegious for a second, my time in the Hunter, I came to appreciate Henny Penny, which is like KFC from the 1970s, but it is fantastic. Even their drive-through is an experience. It's like you drive through it and you have to get out of your car, and it's like, was it that movie The Founder, and they're talking about street
Henny
living
Penny.
drive-throughs. Yeah, Henny Penny was great.
I've got a fun fact for you. Did you know that marketers, when they're thinking about targeting Sydney, have drawn what's called the red rooster line down the middle of Sydney? So west of all the red roosters is one type of demographic, and then to the east of that line is Char Grill Charlie's. And so there are no red roosters in Manly or in Bondi or in Cronulla. So it's called the red rooster line.
I'm
Famously.
definitely west of the red rooster line, but
Yeah,
I quite enjoy that.
The west of the red rooster line. And so Chris Kelly's come through in the comments saying Franko should now have to eat it because of Adam Field's super chat request.
I'll eat it. I'll eat it. I'll even drink
all right,
it.
Fair enough. We'll do that. That is terrifically good fun. All right, let's go. But now we're starting to get into some name suggestions. So in terms of great names, 2.0 has come through saying that it should be Graham Campbell instead of Campbell Graham.
That's a good one.
That's pretty good, 2.0. That's going to be tough to get beaten in the comments. Nick Kelly, I would name my new child King Juan Kelly. That's not bad. Mazdad pub name has to be Cam. Fucking Cam. Sorry, I got to
Has to
stop.
be
flipping.
Preston. Has to be
Preston's
Preston.
not bad.
Preston Cam.
Ange Temple's come through just saying Greg Bird. I can confirm Ange actually owns a bird called Greg, which is pretty good.
Wow.
Francis Crosley Chan.
Yes.
Chan Strauss is a goodie. And then Francis Crosley, Eon or Nigel V. Quite good. They're quite good. And then 2.0 came through and confirmed that it was a Diamond members night. And Sonia said that the eye was there looking good. So apparently the Diamond members got to go bowling with the Sharks. All right, cool. And then Chris Kelly came through in the comments saying I butchered his team lists. Sorry, mate. Aiden will have a field day according to 2.0. Oh, we got the answer to this. So the centre court, level 1 is near David Jones.
Picked it.
There we
So
go.
I'm guessing, yeah, it's where Santa sits at Christmas time.
Where Santa sits, and apparently Harley goes down there. I can't believe we're spending 10 minutes just going through the comments, but there's so many. Chris Kelly's got a range of comments here about the quality of the back line and the Roosters fanboying on those. Harley confirms that he was there last year in Centre Court, level 1 near David Jones. And then Bondi Beach History Channel says, just do it, up, Sharks in Roosters territory. So that is a good to see you, Bondi Beach History Channel. Francis agrees with me that the forwards will knock that all down and we will win by 20. Harley also says that he was there at game 2. Harley gets a lot of games. And then Chris Kelly in the comments says, how was that a try? He's referencing that try that he knew you guys were calling out.
From Women's Origin, the first try.
From Women's Origin, the first try. And then Bondi Beach is asking us to bring back Phil Dotty. Who's Phil Dotty?
Never heard of him, but that doesn't mean he didn't play. Let me have a look in the meantime.
All right, fair enough.
Phil
Harley confirming that. So Sharks had Tiana Penatani, Ellie Johnson, and Emma Veron in the Blues State of Origin team. And then Dean 180, who loves, I'm pretty sure Dean loves the retro jerseys. Will we ever go back to the early 2000s jersey? I don't know if that one's that popular.
Retro one-off.
I don't know if that one's that like the 2000s.
Are we talking about the 2001, 2003 jersey or the 04 to 06 jersey? I think the 01 to 03, we did a members style jersey a few years ago based on that, and I didn't mind that one. But neither of them, you would argue, are classic designs. And was it because we weren't successful there, or they just weren't as sleek and I suppose much of a standout as the Reebok design or the Pepsi design? Not sure. They may.
Yeah, not as much of a standout. Doesn't have the celebrated time that the late 90s jersey has. SJD, mildly fun fact that former Jets winger Tom Rodwell is in the reserve for the Roosters this week.
That's true. Great shout about Phil Dotty. He played for both clubs back in the 80s. He played one match for Eastern Suburbs back in 1984, 7 matches for the Sharks in 1986 with 2 tries. So there you go.
Love you, Phil Dotty.
Yeah, maybe Phil could be a baby name.
Chris Kelly saying that Raising Cane's is better than Popeyes. Popeyes being the popular American franchise that he and I ate out in New York. Ash Williams is laid in saying Stone Street gone for the season is danger. I don't think he's gone for the season, Ash. I think it's only 6 to 8 weeks. So we should be all right. And yeah, there we go. Bondi Beach History Channel's confirming that he was a winger.
Thank you. His history, that Bondi Beach History Channel guy.
Really good.
Yeah. Hey, Bondi Beach History, throw a link in the channel, in the chat now for where you're for where we should go and watch your Bondi Beach history and give us a quick 1-sentence view on you. And then Ashley Williams, the white and grey jersey was pretty good. Oh, the grey, I don't know, was it?
That was the alternate strip in 06, which, yeah, we ended up having a few good wins in it, but the first showing we had was at, I think, Campbelltown, Leichhardt against the Tigers, and we got absolutely punished. And we got a lot of attention about the jersey as well. But I think that
grey shorts, awful.
Yeah, I think it grew on me. It wasn't as bad. It was terrible. It was nowhere near as bad as that one from the Nines that looked like was designed in paint by an 8-year-old with a giant.
Off-season, Williams, let's do a worst 5 Sharks jerseys.
Yeah.
At best 5 Sharks jerseys
one
ever.
final name suggestion from me for our baby Campbell, we're calling it, is Emilio. It's not a first name, but it could be a first name.
Surely, actually,
Andrew Emilio.
I reckon it's got to be Preston, Stuart.
Can I just say, did we get a sex? Did we know if it's a boy or a girl?
Who cares if it's a boy or a girl? It doesn't matter.
Well, we have a women's team now. We could be calling it
Tiana.
Tiani.
Or Ellie.
Yeah.
Or Jada.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. So many options.
Whilst that's all true, I'm just going to say this. Boldo is a great name for a baby boy or a baby girl or any denomination that you may choose. So Boldo Campbell would also be good. No?
Yeah.
I reckon. Hold on. Have there been any other Campbells other than Preston Campbell for the Sharks, Matty?
Good question. Not immediately off the top. I'm sure there would have been, but not immediately off the top of my head.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool. All right. Ashley Williams, the black jersey with the purple blue on the sides was the best.
Yeah, so that was, where was that one? Was that the mid 2000s as well? We wore that as an alternate strip, I think. Back maybe
Bondi
that was
Beach.
actually, yeah.
Bondi Beach History Channel. So excellent, well done, boys. Great knowledge. Matty's pretty good, but he just went and worked out the answer on a rugby league project.
I looked that one up. I can't claim any claim on that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty good back to 1988. So if anyone pre-1988, it's pretty tough to get me. And then Bondi Beach, you're going to put the link in the comments. Bondi Beach History Channel once this episode finishes, and then Ash Williams confirming that was 28-10.
You're right. Yeah.
And then lastly, here we go. Join the ongoing chat at our Discord channel, which is linked here. There it is there. And then SJD says, saying we've got no other Campbells, but we had 3 Bells.
That's some good Google foo, SJD.
Yeah, Jeff Bell's brother, and Jeff Bell's other brother.
I don't know. Who knows? All right, perfect. All right, well, I think we've carried it on enough time now. All right, that was the ET Stead podcast. We'll be live after full time. Yes, Franko?
We're going to do the winner. I have a mini rant.
Yes.
My new gripe for the NRL is incidental. Incidental now appears to be the use case for refs when they don't want to disrupt the game too much and they've found a bit of a grey area. They can go, yeah, it's incidental. So we copped a few incidentals over the weekend where calls may have gone our way, but the ref said, nope, incidental. I believe there was a similar scenario last week where incidental meant we didn't get the rub of the green. Incidental, I guess, something that happens as the result of something else, or something that's minor. Well, Talakai's hit on Pappenhausen bounced up off the shoulder, so that's incidental. I don't know how they're using the word incidental. This is just adding more frustration and grey to me. I'm not going to go down the path of we don't know what a head high is anymore, because we certainly do, but incidental is ridiculous. You saw bloody Hughes taking Kennedy off the ball. You saw guys getting hit and stripped, and it's just incidental. No, call it. Make a decision. I'm sick of it. That's my rant.
All right, good rant. Now, Jeff, Les, and Paul Bell were the Bells. I'm just going to go call it right now. The winning comment of the day has to be Stuart Campbell, listening in, strongest place to tune in from the birthing suite at the hospital. Stuart Campbell, you are the winner, and go in the draw for the displaywear.com.au jersey display unit. We'll do that up until the State of Origin Game 2. We will take one comment from each episode and put that into the draw. I don't think you can comments. That's not many comments, is it? So it's pretty easy to win. So yeah, you can't go past Stuart Campbell winning this week, can you, Franko?
Agreed.
Definitely. All right, that was the ET Stand podcast
with young Bob in arms.
Young Preston Campbell. All right, that was the ET Stand. Thanks for joining us, legends. Sharks to win by 40 points against the depleted Roosters on Saturday night. Franko and Lats will be live for the debrief right after full time. That was the ET Stand. Up Cronulla.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated. More often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.